Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about something that I absolutely love to do, and that's pursue giant smallmouth bass. Living up here in the North Country, I have the opportunity to chase some of the biggest smallmouth bass in the country. One of my favorite things to do, and ultimately, there are a handful of baits that have caught the majority of my biggest smallmouth. And I got a question from a viewer the other day who said he's coming up from Alabama, looking to spend the summer in Minnesota, and wanted to know what baits I recommended for giant smallmouth bass, for the biggest smallmouth bass. And they talked about knowing generally what smallmouth baits are out there, but I thought I would give you some of my absolute favorites that, like I said, have just caught giant fish. Now, before I do get into that, though, I want to remind you I do have a members-only channel, so if you're looking for more content from me, might want to check that out. We do monthly live streams, we do additional videos, just something that gives you a little bit more content. So, let's talk about these baits. And I'll put links for each of these in the video description in case you want to support the channel by using my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. That's a great way to do it as well. So let's talk about the first bait. The first bait here is one that is not going to be a major surprise to most people, and that's this guy right here. This is the Berkley Max Scent Flatworm. Both the 3.5 and the 4 1/4 inch sizes are fantastic, but this little guy right here has caught tons and tons of really big fish, not just for me, but for a lot of other people. You know, I've caught multiple 6+ pounders, including big bass of the event when I fished the St. Lawrence River back in 2023, maybe 2022. I finished second in that event, and almost everything was caught on a flatworm. So we know, based on all the tournament wins that have come on this bait, that this bait generates really big bites. So this is not a surprise to most of you. The next bait's probably not a huge surprise either, and that's a Ned Rig. You throw a Ned Rig like the Little General right here, or maybe it's the Z-Man Finesse TRD. Great baits at generating really big bites. You know, I think there's something to be said, especially for smallmouth, that if they're not in a very aggressive mood, you have to throw small baits. And, you know, the little flatworms, the little Ned Rigs, those are really good in imitating a lot of the fish that even the biggest smallmouth eat. Smallmouth can be really finicky, and a lot of times it's that small forage that they like to key in on, whether it's leeches, little minnows, small crayfish. They're good with pretty much all of that. So from that standpoint, those are two really proven baits and techniques that just work everywhere you go for smallmouth. So I can't say enough good things about that. Now, the other end of the gamut, though, is going from your finesse to your power tactics. A lot of your biggest smallmouth out there can be triggered with power fishing techniques, and it's some of the most fun fishing you can ever do. The first one I'm going to talk about here is a super spook. The super spook can be absolutely dynamite. I personally love to throw bright colors, whether it's blaze orange, hot pink, chartreuse, things like this can be dynamite. The super spook for me has been a great bait for some giant smallmouth. You got to have a walking style bait, especially if you're talking about the summer months or into the fall. There's something about a walking bait getting away from the smallmouth that they cannot stand. And I can almost guarantee you that the majority of muskie anglers out there will talk about how they catch the giant smallmouth bass on giant top waters meant for muskies. And some of the best are your big walking baits. And it may take 4 or 5 times for that smallmouth to actually hook up with this. A lot of times they'll come up and they'll tail slap it 2 or 3 times, and your bait is literally shooting 3 feet through the air. But they will keep coming back until they feel like it's time to actually try to eat the bait. And your big walking baits that are really bright, hot colors are, for me, an absolute must in the summer periods. I'll be fishing those on any of your flats or your break lines where you have 14 foot of water or less. The fish will come a long ways for that bait. The next one, and this might surprise some of you, a big 3/4 ounce spinner bait, chartreuse and white. either with your generally your silver or gold blades, but don't be afraid to go all chartreuse or all white blades either. Double willow leaf's important because speed is the key with these baits, and that's one of the reasons why you want it to be a 3/4 ounce. You need to be able to burn it pretty much as fast as you can retrieve it and keep it underneath the surface. So that 3/4 ounce allows you to reel it as fast as you can go without blowing the blades out. And those blades and that profile just generate some of the most vicious strikes you'll ever get. Those fish will come flying to eat this bait. And if you don't have a good grip on your rod, you'll end up losing your rod. That's how aggressively they can hit it. At the same time, don't buy just one of these, because when this bite is on, you might go through 4 or 5 spinner baits in a day, because that's how aggressive they're biting it and how good they can bite it. I've had days on the Great Lakes that are unbelievable with big spinner baits. This is the 3/4 ounce Picasso. Generally speaking, you just want a bigger, heavier spinner bait that can hold up to the smallmouth and at the same time allow you to burn it back fast. So this is one that I've been using for years. And the thing is, I think that was kind of unlocked years and years ago. There's been a ton of guys that love fishing big spinner baits for smallmouth. And I feel like that's kind of gone back on the back burner a little bit. But the reality is that thing will still slay the big smallmouth. The last bait that I want to talk about, as it's stuck in my desk, is your jerk baits. I still absolutely love a jerk bait in the summer period. This is the Berkley 112 Stunna. This is the +1 model, one of my favorite colors. This is the Northern Lights color. A jerk bait is killer for smallmouth, but going back to what we talked about with the spinner bait, it's not about jerks and pauses. It's about moving this bait fast, ripping it through the water column, and pretty much not giving it too many pauses or long pauses. It's the erratic, crazy motion that still generates those strikes. And the smallmouth in the summer period eat a jerk bait. They eat it year round, but it can be absolutely dynamite again in the summer period. So these are the baits. If I'm looking to catch a giant, these are the ones I have tied on pretty much all summer long in some form or fashion. So check them out, guys. If you're coming up to the North Country and you want to catch some big smallmouth, make sure you have these baits. And that's not just finesse fishing for them. Don't forget about power fishing, especially for the biggest smallmouth in the lake that you're going to. So hopefully this answers the viewer question. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight and it catches you a few giant smallmouth. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.